Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm WildMax1 and I'm bringing you a Raid Shadow Legends video. If you're new to the game, then I've got you covered. I know that with the amount of champs and the options in this game, it can be pretty overwhelming. There is a ton of depth. But what I've done is, for this video, I've taken my experience as a veteran player and I've condensed that down into a few key points that are going to help give you a powerful start and set you up for long-term success in the game. So let's get started. Now, the absolute first thing you should be doing before you dive into your Raid Shadow Legends journey is checking for any active download links or promo codes. These can provide you with free legendary and epic champions that are really powerful and they can supercharge your early game progression. Now, the key difference between a download link and a promo code is that a download link is typically for new players to download and install the game. And then once you have that done, you can go to your mailbox and you can pick up your rewards here and then you're off to the races. Whereas promo codes are available to both old and new players, and you can come over here and you can enter the promo code and then claim it that way if you're a PC player. If you're a mobile player, you don't have that option. You're going to have to go to that website that I'm going to have down in my video description, put in your ID and the promo code and claim it that way. The codes that I'm specifically talking about here are the new player promo codes. So these are only available to new players, and they'll typically also have powerful rewards like legendary champions potentially or epic champions. Depending on when you're watching this video, a quick search for any currently available ones and along with the community consensus on which is best is going to point you in the right directions for which ones you should go for. This is a huge advantage for any new account, and it's one that I did not take advantage of when I was first starting out, and that's a mistake that I don't want to see you repeat. So now you've got the game downloaded, installed, and you're ready to go on your journey. So when it comes to picking a starter champion, while all of them are fine, I think the best starter champion that you can go for that's going to give your account the best advantage early game is going to be Kayle. Kayle has good wave clear and AoE damage, as well as single target damage for bosses, which is going to keep him relevant for a while, and it makes him a really good candidate as your first damage carry. Now, whether you end up choosing Kayle or one of your free champions, for example, hopefully you got some good ones, your first goal is going to be to get them to level 60 and fully maxed out and geared. Once you have them at that level, they can then become a carry for you as you level up all your other champions. So how do you get there? How do you get a champion to level 60? My recommendation, and I think you'll be thanking me for this later, is to focus early game on artifact challenges and on the Arbiter progress missions. So artifact challenges are located down here in the bottom left. I've already finished all of mine on this account, and your progress missions for Arbiter are over here. I've also completed those. Early on in the mission sets, they're going to focus you on the campaign. And the campaign is a great place to be grinding out levels because you get a ton of XP, some silver, and some gear that's actually going to be relevant for where you're at in the account at the time that you're going to be grinding those missions. So as you're progressing in the campaign, you're eventually going to clear normal and you're eventually going to work your way up to brutal. When you get to stage 12-3 of brutal, this is the general consensus in the community that this is the best place in terms of balancing experience gain versus silver gain for you to farm. So in this case, imagine Bellower is your first level 60 that you've gotten fully geared out and ready to go, and here he is just clearing 12-3 for you and just bringing all other champions, having them soak up that experience, and then just power leveling them up. So this is exactly why you need your first 60 so that they can help clear content and just run you through it for all the other champions that you're going to be building for your first team. Now, once you've gotten to 12-3, you don't necessarily have to only farm. There's a lot of different useful areas that you can farm in the campaign. For example, let's say you're looking for a specific set. Let's say you're looking for to complete a speed set, for example. So then you would come over here and you could look for specific pieces here that can give you that speed set for get your champions a little bit faster. Or let's say you're missing a campaign rare that you're looking for, like War Maiden. So you could come over here and you can work your way into the set of the Dreadlands, and you can hopefully pick up a War Maiden, somebody that's going to be very useful for you if you're missing that all-important AoE decreased defense. Once you have one champion there to level 60, they are going to be used through campaign farming to then power level the rest of your account and get you there really, really quickly. But again, focus primarily on those artifact challenges and those early Arbiter Progress missions. If you skip those and wait until later to come back, it's going to be really tedious to spend the energy on content that you've already far out leveled, and it's going to just really feel like a grind. So how do you actually upgrade Kayle or whatever starter champion you choose up to level 60 and fully max them out? What does that entail? So you've already seen campaign, great place to farm experience. Once you have a champ that is maxed out for its current star rank, so in this case, we look at Aethel here and we see that I can no longer upgrade Aethel's level because she's reached the maximum level for this rank, which is rank 3, and she's level 30. If I were to upgrade her rank using a champ of equal star ranking or another crafting material called a chicken, but we call it food, whatever it is, it's either a chicken or a champ. If I were to use these 3 to upgrade Aethel, she would end up being a 4-star and start off once again as a level 1. You can continue that process of leveling and upgrading all the way until you get to level 60 and fully maxed out at 6 stars. Once you have that done, then at that point, and let's just do it for the sake of example here. All right, there you go. We have a 4-star level 1 Aethel. So now, after you have a champion fully level 60, you're going to look to fully ascend them. And when you ascend a champ, you use affinity potions, which you get through the magic keeps that are open at different times of the week that you can find through the dungeon tab. And you basically increase their stats a little bit, their base stats, but you also upgrade abilities and sometimes unlock abilities. So in this case, Aethel's Divine Blades, unascended, just attacks all enemies. Ascended, it has an extra 15% modifier for a critical hit. So once you have your champ fully ranked, fully ascended, at that point you can still upgrade their skills and their masteries. For their skills, you end up giving champions books, and then as you book them out, their skills will receive these bonuses. It's random as to which one it goes into, so be aware of that before you start spending. And also, I will caution that while it's tempting to be upgrading multiple champions at the same time, focus again on your one carry initially and focus on one champ at a time. As you can see from the upgrading rank and level, the higher up in level you go, the more champs you end up needing to consume. It's kind of like a pyramid when it gets to it. So if you spread your resources out, you're not going to be able to push the champion all the way up to rank 60 or to rank 6, level 60 as you need. Anyway, back to skills. So for skills, you throw a book on them and it'll upgrade randomly for one of these. So if the first one here just gives it some damage, then you can eventually buff up the chance to apply a debuff here. Here you just increase damage. Here you can decrease cooldown of abilities. So skills are important, but again, early on, there's a caution that I want to give you. Stay with one champ for your carry, and also make sure, pro tip, to never use a rank for a skill tome that is above that of the champ that you're currently upgrading. So for a rare champ, never use an epic, a legendary, and especially not a mythical book, because that's not maximizing their value. Now for masteries can be helpful for champs, but they're not necessary. And the grind to get masteries can be pretty extensive. You need to go into the Minotaur's Labyrinth, and then once you're there, you throw a team together, you go for it, and then if the champion that you have currently on that squad doesn't have their masteries maxed out, then there's a random chance that they get these scrolls added, and then you can use those to eventually fully max out a champion. I'll be honest with you here, there's a shortcut. So some veteran players, myself included, prefer to just spend gems to get all of their masteries maxed out, and you don't have to worry about it at that point. Minotaur grind can be time consuming, and the difference in total value is relatively small, but for free-to-play accounts and for newer accounts, there's reason to grind Minotaur. But for later game accounts, you may just decide to come in here, click this button, get all scrolls, and then you pay your 800 gems, and then you're done. Here's why I'm going to caution you against that starting out. Those gems at an early game account are going to be better spent right here in the gem mine. The gem mine is one of the only ways in the game to consistently get gems, and once you purchase it, it's just free. It's passively generated. Here I have mine upgraded all the way to level 3 so that every 1 hour and 36 minutes I get a random gem. It just floats above the mine. You click it and that's it. The capacity for that can go all the way up to 15. And as you can see there, it takes 23. It will take me currently 23 hours and 20 minutes. I believe it's 24 hours to fully fill up the gem mine. So you just have to log into your account, click it once a day, and then you're good to go. In my opinion, that is far more important for an early game account than booking out or fully getting your masteries booked out on a champion. I wouldn't worry about that so much. Make sure you're investing in the right places as you're upgrading your champions. All right, so what about gear? So early on in the game, I'll be honest with you, gear is really not that big of an issue. So don't stress about min-maxing or trying to hunt for pieces with perfect stats just yet. That said, there are a few things that you can do to maximize the effectiveness of your early champs and team. And I'm going to boil that down to 3 things. First, make sure that you put them in crit gloves. Crit capping is really important and increases your damage by a lot. 2, speed boots. Speed is king in Raid Shadow Legends in almost every aspect of the game. And 3, accuracy. If your champ places debuffs, make sure that they have enough accuracy to land them. And when gearing, another thing to keep in mind, don't worry this early in the game about taking your pieces to level 16. As a general rule, if you have pieces that are below rank 5, don't take them past level 12. It's really a huge silver sink if you try to go for it. Just as an example, going to 12 on this piece here, going to 16 rather on this piece here, that was 700K on that piece alone. For the sake of driving this point home, I'm going to do it one more time. Another 800K. And these are just rank 5 rares. It gets more expensive as the piece is of a higher rank and quality. So keep in mind, it's just not worth it on this early gear to really go ham and try to get your pieces up to level 16. Instead, save your resources for higher ranking pieces that will actually carry you in the long run a little later into the game. That said, if you are approaching a break point and you're so close to clearing a certain stage, but you just don't have enough damage or whatever, then by all means, upgrade a piece. Just don't go crazy with it. All right, so now you know how to upgrade champs, you know how to gear champs, and you know which champ you're going to go for first. So now how do you build a complement around that in order to make a team? Team building is one of the most interesting parts of Raid Shadow Legends. It's a game with around 900 different unique champions and a ton of different game modes and content, so there's not going to really be one answer for every single one of them. But there are certain aspects that you can bring to at least your initial starting team that are going to give you a success in a wide variety of content in the game. And I'm going to boil those things down to 4 aspects. The first is something that you should already have, which is a good damage carry. So whether that's your Kayle or one of your free champs, whoever that's going to be at this point. Number 2, so in this case, on the team here, I'm going to represent that with Bellower. He's my damage carry. Number 2, you're going to want somebody that gives you increased speed and turn meter fill. So in this case, I have Apothecary right here. Apothecary gives me both on the same ability, increased speed and increases the turn meter of my team. Again, in Raid, speed is king. If you're going first and you're taking more turns than the enemy, you're going to win. So I'm going to go ahead and include Apothecary in here. Number 3, I mentioned her before, you need somebody that's going to bring you AoE decreased defense. So in this case, War Maiden. She's a great first decreased defense champ, AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. Can't ask for much better, and you can farm her from campaign. One of the best early rares. War Maiden, and finally, again, probably the thing that gets the most confusing for some people is, I'm going to just boil it down into survivability, right? Some people think you absolutely need a shield or a strengthen or whatever it is. The truth is, you don't really. What you're going to be looking for is just anybody that can keep your team alive. Most of the time, especially with more difficult content or an arena, that's going to be a reviver. So I'm going to say revive, probably top of that list. Then shields, heals, strengthens, even decrease attacks. So you can improve survivability of your team just with a debuffer. But in this case, I would add Painkeeper, who's also going to be reducing the cooldowns of my team using that combat tactics. Also heals them. So this would be a fantastic early team that could tackle, maybe add on to it a reviver of some kind, and you can tackle Spider, dungeons. This would be a really great place to start for pretty much any content as you're going forward in the early game progression. To unlock all of the game modes in Raid Shadow Legends and to maximize the progress on your account, you are going to need to join a clan. It's essential. And for those of you that have never been a part of a clan in any game before, don't worry, it's actually really easy in Raid Shadow Legends, and it's actually a lot of fun. So you go down to your little clan tab down here, go to rankings, you can search for an open clan that is not full. Let's go level 10. Let's just take a quick look here to see what we have. Venomous Rabbit. Okay, so here's one thing you might run into. So early on in the game, you're going to have very low player power for your account. If you look right here underneath my progress bar for my leveling, that is this number right here. It's kind of like an arbitrary number the game gives you for just general account power. And so clans can sometimes set a minimum for players to join. It's kind of their way of ensuring that people who are super new aren't in their clan if they're going to be looking to progress a little bit. But you can find quite easily some clans that are much more accessible and that are, here you go. There's absolutely no requirements to join this, the Wargs of Asgard. You can just go in, and this will unlock the real prize and the real reason to join a clan, which is Clan Boss. I'm sure you've heard of it if you've done any research on Raid Shadow Legends. This is sort of like the big first goal for any kind of progression beyond just leveling. So Demon Lord Clan Boss specifically is going to be your most consistent source of shards, a daily source of shards. Well, provided you're somewhat lucky. Your goal is going to be to get to Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss as quickly as possible. So here's the Demon Lord, and basically here are all the different difficulties, and your team puts together a team of 5 and tries to take down whatever difficulty you have unlocked. Ideally, eventually, your goal is going to be to get down to Ultra Nightmare and farm these two modes as they have the best drops. So just to give you an example of what the drops are, let's check out my daily cache of the Nightmare. And by the way, if your clan defeats it, so if it has 0 HP, then you get double the chests. Okay, so as you can see, got a little piece of gear. We got a couple of experience boosts right here. We have an affinity potion and some silver. Here we got an ancient shard and a piece that I'm not going to use. All right, and then for Ultra Nightmare, this is the real prize. Here we go, Void Shard. That's what we like to see. What else can we get? Okay, that's good. Some gems. What do we got here? Another Void Shard. Very, very happy with that daily haul right there. That was definitely a good one. And again, you're going to need shards to pull champs and progress past the rares or epics or whatever it is if you're not a spender. So that is going to be your consistent source for that. So that's really what you need to be working towards. And the other benefit of clans, aside from opening up Clan Boss, is, for example, mine, you can be in a clan that's active. Mine is active on Discord, and you can actually communicate with the people in your clan. And I've found that Raid Shadow Legends has a really fantastic community. Most players are more mature. A lot of them are very experienced, very willing to help. I've actually learned a lot from some of the fantastic PvPers or arena experts in my clan. So that's just another advantage, getting plugged into that community and getting your game going through both your connections made and through Clan Boss. All right, and the final piece of advice that I have for your great start to Raid Shadow Legends is don't sleep on PvP or Arena. So Arena is one of those aspects that is really important for your long-term progression, but can be a little bit of a grind in the beginning, to say the least. So if you go to your classic Arena specifically, chances are you're not going to have a team initially that's going to be able to perform well. Now I'm in Gold 5 right here, so the teams you see here may or may not be the same kind of teams you may be seeing in the initial tier that you're going to be in, but it's just an example here that there's, even though you may not recognize any of the champs, you may not know what's going to be happening, what you should look for is the one-man teams. So teams like this, preferably not a level 60 Armands, but any one-man teams like this that you can find that could potentially be easy pickings are going to be good to start grinding some of those medals. If you can't find one on your page, then you can refresh here every 15 minutes. And sometimes you get lucky and find them, sometimes you don't. But you have that refresh every 15 minutes. So every once in a while, as you're doing your dailies, just come out over here and click and refresh. And if you find some level 1 champs that people have thrown into their defense teams, then just quickly take those down and take those medals for free. Medals are going to be really important for your account because they provide a passive bonus to all of your characters of the same affinity. So right here we have Magic Affinity, Spirit, Force, and Void. So my recommendation is start dumping medals into accuracy. Max this out for every affinity in the beginning. That's my best advice. And then afterwards, personally, I have seen a lot of people go for crit damage next, which I think is great. I also started doing that, but then I ended up picking up a lot of Void champs, and so I ended up trying to max out all the bonuses for them. But initially, early game, most players have trouble with hitting the required accuracy for content, so I definitely think this is worth your while right here. So quick recap. Remember to grab your promo codes. Remember to grab any free champs you can from those. Pick a starter, upgrade them to rank 60 and max them out. Then start progressing in your artifact challenges and your arbiter missions. Then build a team around them while managing your resources wisely. Join a clan and start progressing towards Demon Lord Clan Boss, and don't sleep on PvP. You follow that roadmap and you're going to be off to an absolutely killer start to Raid Shadow Legends. Thank you so much for watching. If this guide was helpful, I invite you to subscribe to the channel for more tips and strategies. Comment down below if there's any new videos or guides you'd be looking for. Thank you so much again. Thank you for your time. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.